this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from Serapion. And Serapion writes in reference to the phrase, work with, when applied to a god or goddess. And Serapion tells us that he knows people in the Reconstructionist movement who would resent this term and disapprove of it because they feel it is disrespectful. And he would like my take on the matter. And my answer to this may at first seem off topic, but I don't really feel that it is. And I would begin by saying that I was always taught that you really should not criticize between traditions, that different traditions, different religions have different ways of doing things, and that if we want to get along, we need to respect this. And if we do not respect this, we cannot expect to get along. So what I would say, my primary reaction to this is that you should not criticize the practices of traditions or religions other than your own. You should certainly feel free to say, well, in my tradition we do it differently, or, we really kind of think of it this way, but to resent someone else's practice or to openly criticize it is inviting them to do the same for you. And you cannot really be surprised if that's what transpires. And a lot of the hard feelings, a lot of the witch wars, a lot of the deep clefts between traditions in the metaphysical community come from exactly this kind of behavior. And I cannot too strongly stress how beneficial it would be if we were all a little bit more diplomatic in some of our opinions. And if you find that your practice or your ideas differ from what a different group is doing, generally speaking, I think the best thing to do is to assume that they have had somewhat different experiences from yourself and see whether it seems to work for them. Because you certainly are under no obligation to start doing it that way simply because they do. Therefore, it really does not involve you. And as for being disrespectful to the deity, that really is the deity's place to say. If the deity is not saying it's disrespectful to the person that is working with the deity, then obviously the deity doesn't actually feel that way, or possibly something else is going on. But I often tell the stories of people I have known who work with the same deity but have different experiences because their understanding of the deity or their expectation of the deity is drastically different. And I think that when we work with deities, we have to bear in mind that we come to it with a certain mindset, and we can only accept things within that mindset, and we make a mistake to think that the deity is no more than what we experience. I often say that for me to look upon something as a deity, it must be more than I am myself. And I really feel that anything that's worthy to be called a deity should be beyond my level of understanding. And so, for us to think that deities are smaller than ourselves or fit in small boxes, I think is rather foolish. However, if that's the practice of the tradition you come from, that's your business. And if we want to get along, then we need to get along. Now, to go back to the original question regarding how I would look upon the idea that it's disrespectful to use the phrase work with in connection with a deity, since I use the term in connection with working with deities all the time, I obviously don't think it's disrespectful. And what I would say is that if you are the devotee of a particular deity, you're going to be working with that deity, and anything beyond that is a matter of semantics. And many religions around the world, not only contemporary Western paganism, not only Wicca, have the practice of patron deities. They don't always use that term, but in most religions that have many deities, you'll find that people have particular devotion to one or more of them, and they will work with them through devotional practices of many different kinds. Whether you call it working with them or something else, it's done all over the world and has been for millennia. And arguing over semantics is simply foolish. And I think that we need to have an eye to the health of our community and to the effect of intertradition criticism and intertradition rivalries. It's not a beneficial thing. It's not always something that can be overcome, but it's definitely not a beneficial thing. And what I would say is that if you find you resent the terminology someone else uses, I would wait at least 24 hours before saying anything, and you may reconsider and find it really isn't that important in the bigger picture. So, those would be my thoughts on the matter. I hope you find them helpful, and until next time, may you blessed be. Reverend Don, super omnibus of incantations and invocations for all occasions. Marianne Kay and I created this massive compendium of magic and artwork for you to use in any way that you would like. There are literally hundreds of spells and hundreds of illustrations, which can be mixed and matched and used in many different ways. Check it out now at witchghoulstore.com.